Hello everyone, salut tout le monde! I am Emma, I'm the creator of Yummy Moon Studio, and this is the very first video on my channel. Before I start, I just wanted to wish you all a very happy new year. I know that 2020 has been hard for a lot of people, but I just hope that we can work together to make 2021 a better year. So what are we going to talk about in this video? So with the new year, it's very common to set up goals for yourself or your business. You start planning the next month with new products, shop updates, new projects. And before I do that, because I have a bad habit of rushing things, I want to take a look back on 2020 and see what I can learn from what worked well and what didn't work. Sometimes I struggle to organize and prioritize what I have to do. So last year I bought a planner to help me with this, and I bought this particular one because it was targeted at a small business owner. So this is the book. It's called the Maker's Yearbook, and this one is the 2020 version. This is what I used last year. I didn't plan my day-to-day task in this because it is pretty big and pretty bulky, and I bought the 2021 version, but this time I bought the digital file and not the hardbook cover because I just knew I only wanted some pages out of all of them, because I like to plan my days in my own planner that I make myself. But this is very useful for a lot of other information. I'm going to show you that right now. So what is this book? This book is a goal-setting workbook and planner for artists, crafters and handmade makers in business. It helps develop 3 really solid habits that will keep you motivated and on track as you build a successful business. So inside the book you will find how to use it. You learn more details about those 3 steps, and you'll have this section which is super important, that is the plan and envision your year. So this book is the 2020 book, but I have the 2021 and it's basically the same thing. One thing I like as well is that you have a lot of information on how to plan a whole year. You have like a calendar that tells you that if you want to, I don't know, design a collection for the fall, you should start in June. And if you want to start your Christmas collection, you should start in August. Those sort of things that you don't always think about, or you're too busy with something else. And this book reminds you that you need to work on things ahead of time, otherwise you're gonna feel very stressed because you do things last minute. So the creator of the book, Nicolai Taylor, has an approach that I like. She talks about dreams, goals and strategy. So the dream is the big thing that you want, the goals are the steps towards the dream, and the strategy is how you reach your goals and then your dream. I think looking back at the previous year in terms of goals helps you set up new ones, because you will learn from your mistakes and from your success. So before I start the review process that is in this book, the 2021 edition, I want to share with you what were my goals in 2020. So before we look at the goals, let's look at the dream. So to the question, why did I start my creative business? I answered a year ago. I started my creative business because I love art, objects and collecting. I want to be the type of maker that sells out of their items super fast because everyone likes what they do. I'd love to make people happy with what I create, and I want to be happy creating. So basically my dream is to be a successful creator, and I don't know if I ever reach a point where I sell out of something as I put it live on my shop. I don't know, to me it will feel very fulfilling, and this is success, selling out very quickly of something. there was a section next where you would write your biggest dream of 2020, and for me I wrote being proud of Yumi Wing Studio, and I'm happy to say that I am very proud. Maybe I could have done things differently, but I'm very happy still that I've reached the point where I am today. I think I'm really onto something, and I think this is really what I wanted. This aesthetic, this name, the branding, the items. So yeah, this is good. Before we finally look at my 2020 goals, my vision for my creative work in 2020, as I wrote in last year, was magic meets nature meets pastel colors, pastel magic, moon, animal, cute aesthetic. It's actually pretty funny that it's still to this day pretty consistent with what I really love. So once again, it's a confirmation for me that this is what I want to do. It has not changed in a year, so this is good as well. And finally, the goals. So I wrote my goals for 2020 in this, but I also wrote them in my planner, and this is where we're going to look at them, because this one I changed a bit. So this is my little handmade planner. On this page, for the goals for 2020, I had creating at least 3 collections, selling out of 1 pin, reaching 5,000 followers on Instagram, selling in person at an event, coming out with some sort of advent calendar, and filming and posting at least 1 studio vlog. So let's look at them and talk about them a little bit. So for the first one, creating at least 3 collections. I did that. I managed to do it, and actually I created more than 3 collections. So the first collection I created is the Moon Guardian magical item. So the first item was my moon shield, and then I added more items during the year. I made them first as foil prints, and then I also added 2 more pins to the collection later in the year, and more foils as well. So the second collection was the Pastel Lover collection. It's a set of enamel pins that I released back in May or April, and I did pre-orders on Etsy, and it got funded almost 100%, which was very helpful, and it had 12 pins at the time, and I added 2 more later in the year. And the third collection was the Mini Emotions series. So the second goal was to sell out of 1 enamel pin, and I didn't really do it. I sold out of the standard grades, but not the entire pin, which is already pretty good. Yeah. My third goal for 2020 was to reach 5,000 followers on Instagram, and I reached that on October 4th. It was really great, and I never in my previous Instagram accounts reached this amount of followers, so I was really happy. So goal number 4 was to sell in person at an event. And obviously when I wrote this a year ago, I didn't know what the world was going to go through. So I still managed to sell at an event, but not in person. So I did 1 event in Germany. I sent my merch to them, and they sold it for me. So it was a pop-up shop with a pin section. And I did 2 Christmas markets online for a French audience, and it went pretty well. So I would say I managed to achieve this goal. Goal number 5 was to come up with an advent calendar, and I've been trying to make one for 3 years now, and I've yet to find a way to do it that I'm happy with. I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't have the funding or I didn't have the time. And yeah, we'll see if I do it this year or another year. The last goal was to film and post at least one studio vlog. And this one, I didn't manage to do it in 2020, and this is what I'm the most annoyed at myself for, because I could have done it so many times and I didn't, because I kept pushing things back. I told myself, oh, I don't have the right camera, I don't have the right mic, I don't have the setup, I don't have any ideas, I'm gonna be boring, whatever. In the end, I just didn't do any, and sometimes you just have to do things even if they are not perfect. So yeah, I'm a bit sad that I didn't post videos, because I really love YouTube and watching videos and watching vlogs from other makers, and I just wanted to be part of it sooner. But now I'm here and I'm hoping that it's the start of many videos to share my experience, but also some tips and just, you know, my process and my thoughts, those sort of things. So the final count for my 2020 goals is that I managed to do 3 out of 6, and 1 I was halfway there. So I would say it's pretty okay. I could have done better, but I would say, considering the year we just had, I'm still happy and it's still good. In the Makers Yearbook 2021, there's this section which is called Celebrate and Learn from 2020, and I'm gonna do this with you. Nikola Taylor, the creator, wrote, "If we never look back, we can't see what's been holding us back." This is what I said at the beginning of the video. I feel like I need to do this review to know where I'm going. So first thing in the 2020 review are the highs and lows. So what were my proudest moments and biggest successes in 2020? So I didn't mention this before, but I'm someone that was very used to give up when I failed or when things didn't go like I wanted to. And not giving up, keep pushing when I could have just stopped everything, is for me a big moment, and I'm very proud of that. I also tried things I never tried before. I tried foil prints for the first time in my life and I really like it. And I also designed my first washi tapes and it's really cool, I really like it. So those 2 things I'm really happy and proud about. And I would say my biggest success is reaching 1,000 sales on Etsy. So now I think I have about 1,200 items sold and total of 430 orders, something like this. So this is a big success. I didn't sell out of anything, but I did sell a lot of things. So this is cool, very happy about that. Next one is what were my toughest lessons. So one of the toughest lessons is that as much as interacting with my community on Instagram has been fun and helpful, sometimes I shouldn't trust results that I get from the votes in the stories, because what happened, if I can give you an example, is that I had this design of a pin I shared in my stories. It's my Sprout Ghosty pin, and I shared in my stories, okay, please vote only if you're absolutely sure of getting it. This is going to be the price. This is when it's going to come out. Will you buy it? So you could answer yes or no, and I received about 170 votes for yes, I will buy it for sure. And so when I placed my order for the pin, I told myself, okay, I'm not gonna buy that many because it's unlikely that 170 people will buy it. So I only using air quotes, only bought 100 of the Sprout Ghosty pin, the white one, and I sold 40 of them. Now, this is not bad. 40 pins of one design is not bad. But I got really sad about it for a while because I had still in my mind that I could have sold so much more according to this Instagram poll. So yeah, this is just a lesson to learn, is that it's not that the numbers are bad in the end. I sold 40 pins, so that's good. But I just, my expectations were very high, and sometimes I just need to be reminded that I need to lower them a little bit, especially if I rely on my followers' input. So I appreciate when people take the time to vote and let me know what they like or don't like. But I should not take that for granted. If I have 100 people voting yes, it doesn't mean that 100 people will buy the pins. They might not have the money anymore, they might not like the end result, they might have completely forgotten about me. So yeah, just need to keep that in mind. So now I'm more cautious, so this is a lesson learned. The next section is about sales and profits, and it starts with, okay, deep breath, it's time to look at money. And it's actually pretty funny. So I don't know if people are uncomfortable with the idea of me sharing about money, but I'm okay with it, so I'm just gonna tell you how I did last year. So basically they're asking the total sales, the total expenses, and the profits. So I made about 11,000 euros in sales. However, you have to remove about 2,000 euros of shipping, because I don't keep, the amount that is required for the shipping labels. And you have to remove the Etsy fees, which were about 1,000 euros for a year. So you remove 3,000 euros of that, which leaves me with about 8,000 euros of sales. And my total expenses were 9,000 euros. So I had more expenses than I had sales last year, so I didn't make a profit at all, which is fine. So the next section is, how do you feel about these numbers? I did expect to not make a profit. I didn't expect to earn that much, I have to say, but I didn't expect to make a profit, because I had businesses before and I know that it's hard to start. Honestly, for first year and it being 2020, which was pretty complicated, I would say I did pretty well. Actually pretty happy and pretty surprised that so many people got things from me, because I know a lot of them struggled with, their job and money. So yeah, I'm surprised and pretty happy. So yeah, I was definitely expecting not making a profit, but considering I didn't have a job anymore, it would have been nice to make a profit so I could pay myself. And I'm hoping this year will be different. So the next section in the review is about customers and followers and how much the number grew in 2020. So basically it all started at 0, and I'm going to share with you how it grew. So they're asking about how many visitors did you get on your website. A year ago on Etsy, when I opened my shop in February, so my traffic was about 100 to 200 visits a month. And now it's on average about 5,000. So about followers, I did share that earlier when I talked about my goals. I had 0 followers on Instagram and now I have 9,000. And for my secondary social platform, which I guess is Twitter, even though I don't really use it that much. So same, I started at 0 and now I think it's close to 400 followers. So how do I feel about these numbers and how I want them to look in a year? Honestly, I think it's pretty encouraging that I managed to gather that many people under a year, giving me hope that I'm gonna reach double at the end of the year, hopefully. And regarding the numbers of visitors on my Etsy, I would say it's pretty good that the number is rising, but I'm still having a lot of trouble converting the visits into sales. And I think one of the reasons is that I sell the most outside of Europe. My main customers are in Canada, America and Australia, and shipping is expensive for them. It's not the worst, but it's, you know, it's expensive, and so I guess I'm losing some customers because of that. So yeah, I have to look into that to see if I can work on my Etsy SEO a bit more. It would be nice to have numbers keep rising, but converting into sales and not just visitors, but actually buyers. Okay, now let's talk about products. What was my most successful product in 2020? So I think my most successful product was my Dream washi tape, because I put it online I think in September and it sold out in November, something like this. And to me it makes it the most successful product because it went out of stock and people kept asking me to restock it, which will happen. So I would say this is the most successful product. Which of my products didn't work this year? So I made a print of Animal Crossing cats, and it's a square print with 9 cats on it, I think, and I didn't sell any of it. It's the only product in my shop that I haven't sold any copy of it. None at all. And it was on for a few months, and I guess I didn't promote it enough maybe, but people were not interested, which I mean, it happens, it's fine. I removed it, nobody complained. So yeah, this one was a total failure. And I don't really know why. I mean, it could be the art style and that's fine, but when I posted on Instagram, I feel like some people liked it, but maybe just not enough to buy it, quite possibly. So yeah, I would say this is the worst product. So one other question that I find interesting is, how do I feel about my product range? Do I have too many products, too few? Do I have a range of price points? Is too much of my income tied to one product or too low profit products? So personally, I prefer to see a lot of products in a shop because I do shop often outside of my country. So when I pay for shipping, I want to be able to make it worth it. So I'd like to buy a lot of items, or at least 3 items from a shop. So anyway, I'm happy with the number of items that I have. I like the options. But I have to say I have a lot of items with a lower price point, and it doesn't mean I don't make a good profit out of them, but I would need to sell a lot of them to be able to get a lot of money. So maybe what I should include this year in my range of products is products that have a higher price point to be able to generate more income quicker. So it's time to take this review to a close and to summarize how things went for me in 2020 and what I should look forward to. By no means I think it was an easy year. I think I'm with the majority of people. I had a lot of struggles, but when it comes to Yummy Studio, I'm actually very relieved that it went how it did. I was very scared of not selling anything. I was very scared of not getting any followers. I was deep down very insecure, and I think the numbers are very encouraging, and I think it helped boost my self-confidence and the confidence I have in my creations. So what I learned in general this year is that I should keep making the things that I love, but I also should be cautious if I create seasonal collections or items I'm not sure will do well, because at the end of the day it's a business. The goal for next year is to make a profit, and if possible, quite a bit of profit. I think I really need to keep exploring new ways to promote and sell my creations, because right now I do rely a lot on Instagram and on Etsy, and it's not enough. I tried Pinterest and I should try Twitter more. I've got a lot of ideas for a Discord server. I also would like to open a Patreon, maybe. I think I would love to try that. If there's one thing that we learn in 2020 is that when you do rely on one thing and that thing is gone, you're screwed. And by that thing, I mean conventions. A lot of people did rely on conventions to sell the products, and when they were gone, they had to move online, and it was hard for a lot of people. I do rely a lot on online presence, but it's not enough. I do need to reach more people, so I will work on that. And if we can go back to selling at conventions and events in person, I would really love to do that as well. And I'm also tempted to look into a stockist and wholesale orders, because it's another way to get my merch out there, and I like the idea of a shop carrying my products. I think it's pretty neat. So yeah, I would like to look into that next year. And the last thing that I've learned with this review is that I should keep working on my planning and plan better, because I'm having a lot of trouble with seasonal products. I love making them, but it's pretty hard to know when to start and when to release. So yeah, this I have to think about when I plan next year. I mean this year. Okay, so this was my review of my 2020. It was a lot of talking. I'm sorry if this was too boring for you. I just needed to make it because I don't want to rush and plan 2021 without having learned anything about this past year. So I thought I would bring you along, and maybe you found this interesting and maybe you want to do it for yourself. So if you found this interesting and if you're still awake after watching this and you want to try making a review of last year for yourself to hopefully plan this year more efficiently, I highly suggest you you take a look at the Makers Yearbook. And by the way, this is not sponsored. I think it's pretty obvious. I just started my channel, but I just really like it. And there's also a newsletter that you can find. I think you can subscribe from the makersbusinesstoolkit.com. I'll have a link in the description below. I think it's a great investment. It's not very expensive if you buy just a digital version. I don't have the price in my head right now. Honestly, for the information that's in there and the help that you can get from this, I think it's best. Obviously, if you're someone who does not struggle with organization, that maybe you don't need that. But if you do have troubles keeping lists, if you set up goals that are too unrealistic, if you never finish your project, maybe with this you can have more help. So that's it. This is the end of my video. This was very long. I'm sorry, but it was very needed. If you follow the review for yourself and your business, let me know in the comments. And I hope this was interesting and helpful, and you can like this video. You can also subscribe for a new video. My next one will be planning 2021 and setting up my goals, and after that I think I will share a bit of my process when I work, some illustrations, and also other fun stuff. Yeah, but if you have suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I was maybe a bit awkward, I don't know, sorry. This is over now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye, à bientôt!